If you've been in the Fortnite competitive scene for a while now, there's a big chance that you would have tried out VOD reviewing before. The act of watching back your past games played, usually from a tournament, to see what to improve on and what you did wrong. But there's also an even bigger chance that you've struggled to improve from VOD reviews too, because it almost feels like you don't remember what you learned from it. Like you'll watch over all the games from your previous tournament, point out what you did wrong and point out what you should have done instead. But then for some reason in the future just continuously struggle and make the same mistakes over and over again that you should have fixed by now. While luckily for you bro, I know where you went wrong and I know how to fix this. So let's go through every step of VOD reviewing that a normal player would do. First of all, he would obviously play the tournament and then he would probably get off because it's really late now and he's super tired from the tournament, and then the next day when he gets on his PC he would VOD review the tournament. And boom, that's where he made his first mistake. When possible, you should always VOD review your tournaments or scrim sessions right after they happen. This is because right after a session of scrims or a tournament, this is when the experience is most fresh in your mind, meaning you'll remember all the little details of the games way better. Like what you were thinking when you made those bad plays, what your game plan that game was meant to be, etc, etc. Which obviously is going to help you VOD review way better. When you VOD review the next day after a tournament or session of scrims, there's so many little details you forget that would have otherwise helped you understand why you wanted to make that bad play. So the best thing to do here is VOD review after the tournament, or maybe give it a 30-minute break so you and your teammate can have a mental break before you lock in for the VOD review. Okay, now the normal player would go into his first game of the tournament or scrim session and start VOD reviewing, going to where he died and figuring out what he could have done differently. Like, oh, I made a bad edit there that got me killed, or I should have went up above this team so they can't get a good angle on me, and so on. And then they repeat that with almost all of the rest of the games, if not all of them. Believe it or not, this is where he next goes wrong. Instead of watching almost all of your games, or literally all of your games over briefly, it is way more effective just to pick 1 to 2 games that you particularly struggled with in that tournament or scrim session and go into insane depth on them. What I mean by this is, instead of only looking at the micro reasons you died in that game, like oh you made a bad edit, a bad rotate, or you failed to get a refresh, etc. You need to look at the bigger macro reasons for your deaths. Like, okay, what did I even do in this game that got me into a position where I needed to take a fight? Why was I even in a position where I could make a bad rotate? Why was I even in a position where I needed to get a refresh in such a dire situation? These types of questions will get you to start thinking way deeper and also get you to start thinking multiple steps ahead of yourself, which is what will get you to be way smarter in game. So yes, the best thing to do here is just to pick 1 to 2 games from that session of scrims or a tournament, and then yes, look at the micro reasons you died like in the couple minutes before your death, but then also look at the bigger macro reasons. And now lastly, the normal player would learn about the mistakes he made, think about them for a bit, and then move on to the next practice, which is where he also goes wrong. What you'll find doing this with VOD reviewing is that you will find it super hard to remember the mistakes you made and what things you should do instead, and you'll just keep doing the same mistakes. So how do you fix this? Well, what you're gonna do is create a private Discord only for you, where you can write down all your notes from VOD reviewing. Yeah, I know bro, writing down notes just sounds like another stupid useless thing people just keep telling you to do. I thought this for so long too, until I realized something. When you have a thought that's just in your head, it's kind of just like an up in the air, rough idea / feeling. But when you take your time to write down that idea as a complete logical sentence, it just locks the information into your brain way better, strengthening its memory way more because you were just forced to think about that idea way more deeply than you otherwise would have. And then lastly, when you play tournaments and scrims, etc., you want to have those notes open on your second monitor or on a phone nearby so you can keep glancing over and be way more successful at actually implementing the stuff you learned. You made it through this whole video, so there's something I'm sure you'd be interested in, bro. My free email newsletter where I post heaps of unique advice and tips and tricks you don't see in my YouTube videos, so join for free using the link in the description of this video.